Welcome. Welcome to Poetry Flash in Berkeley, California. I'm Joyce Jenkins. Today, we are pleased to present a poetry reading with 4 poets who have all appeared at the Watershed Environmental Poetry Festival, celebrating writers, nature, and community for the last 27 years, presented by Poetry Flash at Civic Center Park in Berkeley each fall. These poets are all very interesting and very different from each other. So I'm really looking forward to hearing them all together along with you. This eco-poetry reading is co-sponsored by the Berkeley Historical Society and Museum in conjunction with their current exhibition, Echo Berkeley, A Legacy of Environmental Activism. To find out more about this exciting exhibit at the Veterans Memorial Building, 1931 Center Street in Berkeley, right across the street from Civic Center Park, visit their website at berkhistory.org. The California Institute for Community, Art, and Nature, California I CAN, is also a co-sponsor. Featured books by these poets are available at bookshop.org/shop/poetryflash. Genny Lim's recent collection is available at asiabookcenter.com. And Chris Olander's new book, Twilight Roses, is currently available only on Amazon. When you are looking for Chris Olander's books online, they are published under J.C. Olander, not Chris. The links are in the chat box. To the best of our tech ability, you were muted on entry. Please stay muted. This event is being recorded and will be posted on the Poetry Flash YouTube channel and Facebook page. At the end, when the program ends, unmute yourself and we'll keep the Zoom on so those who are with us in person on Zoom can ask a question or say hello. Visit poetryflash.org to check out our interviews, reviews, poems, and more, and to see news about upcoming literary events in California. To receive emails about upcoming Poetry Flash readings, both online and in person, join our mailing list at poetryflash.org. Let's begin this wonderful reading. John Curl's new poetry book is Rainbow Weather, Poems for Environmental Healing, which we need, don't we? Kim Shuck says, the poems in Rainbow Weather challenge the reader to release expectation and received hierarchies, and in exchange, to retrieve wonder. His previous collections include Yoga Sutras of Fidel Castro, Revolutionary Alchemy, and Scorched Birth, among many other works. He is co-editor of the recent anthology, the important anthology, Storm Warning, Poets for the Planet Building Socialism. I'm delighted, very delighted to have him with us today. Let's give a warm vibe welcome to John Curl.
Thank you so much, Joyce. I'm thrilled to be here with all of you. It should be a wonderful event here today. So I'll be reading from my new book, Rainbow Weather, Poems for Environmental Healing, published by Vagabond. Something wrong. Something is very wrong. The chemical smells, sick plants, dying birds and insects. It actually hasn't been very long, just a blink in geologic time since we began transforming these wild, watery gardens of ourselves, the universe of our own bodies, into toxic dumps. Are we too far lost to retrace our steps, to find our way back. Although I don't know their names or their places on my family tree or on anyone's family tree, I am certain that somewhere in my past and in your past and in all of our pasts were people who knew how to live in better ways than these, who lived in good ways, who walked lovingly on the earth, who did not cause too much damage to other people or to other creatures or to our mother, and who left our world perhaps even a little better than they found it. It is to these ancestors that we need to turn for guidance, to find their lost path and follow it. Are we too far lost to retrace our steps, to find our way back? It actually hasn't been very long. Strange odors, sick birds, dying trees, just a blink in geologic time since we began transforming these gardens of ourselves, this wild, watery universe of our own bodies. Raindrops. Rain is alive. Rain is life. We living things, all of us, are water droplets. Consciousness is a form of water. We are children of the morning dew, vaporizing from the sea, clouds of vapor drifting toward land. Listen to the rain drench the suffering city streets. Listen to the dew, raindrops in a summer shower, bouncing on roofs, swirling down storm drains, hovering on eyelashes, dripping down chestnut leaves, seeping into meadows, flowing through soil, snowflakes drifting through cumulus clouds, floating into children's faces, blowing against tree trunks, drifting, piling into drifts, perfect unique crystals, coating star maple branches, rabbit burrows, cranberry bogs. Listen to the snow cover the hills. Listen to the clouds. Listen to the waterfalls. Listen to the waves endlessly splashing. Water droplets underground flood along the watershed, gather into currents, surface again, mountain springs of purity, trickle around pebbles, leaping brooks, babbling over frogs, flowing past tongues of turtles, splashing streams, meandering around oxbows, funneling into whirlpools, eddying in gentle swells, surging into great rivers, crashing against rocks. We are vapor, we are clouds, we are rain, we are all snowflakes, we are dew, we are rivers flowing together into the ocean, our mother, and she is us too. Then why do military drones keep striking wedding parties of snowflakes? Why do clouds still cry themselves to sleep at night from cold and hunger, while warehouses are packed with clothes and food? Why then are 2 million American raindrops still in prison? Why are we poisoning the children of the morning dew? Cloud castles. After all this blood, here we are, still torn in this crisis of destruction and delusion. At a time like this, how can we even think of celebration? Remember that hazy summer day? We lay side by side in the grass, gazing lazily into the clouds. Tell me, what do you see? A dolphin jumping through a wave, a swaying palm tree, a field of corn, a rhinoceros horn, wind and rain. The shapes change, a swooping bumblebee, a raging storm at sea, a crimson bird soaring along the horizon, a frowning clown, an angry crowd, a thundering herd of bison. Look up into the sky, into the clouds. Tell me, what do you see? Grim masks in crowded dungeons, prisoners whispering forbidden thoughts forever unfinished, midwives hugging bleeding infants, orphans holding endless wakes, widows seizing desperate moments, windows shattering lost childhoods, concrete collapsing bridges and dams, toxic water gushing through neighborhoods, broken priests torturing war dogs, just everyday terror and plunder, boys murdering men, murdering women, forests blazing, animals fleeing, all the great-grandchildren scream, the gangster banker regime, the loathsome empire's last bitter crimes, drip, drip, dripping dark splatters of blood on the last rotting dreams, clotting in the last gutter. None of this will ever be forgotten. And yet, it is written, invincible regimes collapse. All-powerful empires swept away to nowhere. New civilizations arise from the earth with a kiss. The clouds change. The moment of celebration is to be. Remember that hazy summer day, we lay lazily in the grass, just you and me, gazing up into the sky. Tell me, what do you see? Lovers in a filthy jail, the rings on a tiger's tail, salmon creeks, flamingo beaks, grazing gazelles, Buddha bells, flowering Joshua trees, sunrise over turquoise seas. Slide deep. Slide deep, but do not sleep. Engage the world through your core. Slide deep, then step outside of yourself. This is the moment you have been waiting for, the time the mockingbird sang about. Keep your left ear always alert as you slide through the shadows into your center, but do not sleep. Slide deep into your shade, into your forest. But this night, as you ride that force down into your core, slide deep, but do not sleep. Keep your left ear alert. Then step out. You are a butterfly. Flutter the mist from your wings. Come to me. Fly to me through the pain, a light on my shoulder. Poison has emerged into the perfect water. All we have ever loved, present, past, future, are at risk. Cancer festering in every wound, force-fed by every banker in the smashed windows of every burned-out school lunchroom and convenience store, lawns beaten and betrayed, dandelions cowering in crawl spaces. The guilty plead impunity. The mothers drink defiance. Shh. The forest voices are speaking. The forest is speaking. Feel that thunder streaming outward from your center in ever-widening circles through the places of your childhood, your neighborhood, that energy of love, that force that ties us all together, all the rooms you've ever cared about, engulfing those dear ones in ever-widening circles of family, friends, workmates, pets, plants, rocks, trees, the living and those who have journeyed on. Crawl with me into this cozy space under this ancient oak tree, surrounded by these roots. This is yours and ours. This is your habitat, your only home. When you awake, remember this den and the way here. Then tonight, when you sleep, Do not sleep, but slide deep. Engage the world through your core. Keep your left ear alert. Do not sleep, but slide deep. Then step outside of yourself. Fly to me through the pain. Butterfly, a light on my shoulder. Return with me to your den. Shh. The forest voices are listening. The forest is listening. I have two more little poems for you, and then I'll be through. This is called Emergency. Today is a day of emergence. Blue jays emerge from red oak nests. Bumblebees emerge from gillyflowers. Sunbeams emerge from ominous clouds. Earthworms emerge from composted soil. Emergency. Emergence of turtles sunning on floating logs. Emergence of spotted dogs frolicking in parks. Emergence of lovers sipping wine in outdoor cafes. Emergence of orphans wishing on shooting stars. Emergency. Federal grand juries emerge from alleyways. Undercover cops emerge from dumpster bins. Stockbrokers emerge with razor scars. Convicts emerge from solitary. Emergency. Emergence of angry seas crash and squall. Emergence of trees tremble and fall. Emergence of smoke billows in every direction. Emergence of sidewalks roll and crack. Emergence of great chasms and sinkholes. Emergence of we won't take this anymore. Emergence of organize, educate, resonate. Emergence of solidarity together. Emergence of toppling statues of patriarchs. Emergence of islands from the waves. Emergence of laughter at midnight. Emergence of dismantle the chain fences. Emergence of bankers crying like babies. Emergence of babies dreaming of paradise. Emergence of another glorious day of emergence. Today is a day of emergence, emergency. And I will finish my reading today with the title poem of the book, Rainbow Weather. Dueling with the devil in the eye of the hurricane, Venus in retrograde, Aries rising, dark spots cover the sun, predators without shame, nothing true under their darkness, nothing new under their guns, nothing to eat but dog's bane and wolf's bane, nothing to cast but blame, nothing can change without struggle and pain, but nothing can stay the same. But those murmurs in the gales, gusting all around us, sing of something just beyond the storm. Rainbow weather's rolling in. I can smell it, I swear it. Rainbow weather is rolling in like dawn. Armies marching through the night. Monumental crimes and blunders. Scorched cliffs all around us. Centuries of rape and plunder. Bats flocking together. Centipedes abusing power. Jackals sniffing every crack. For lovers in a secret bower. But those murmurs in the gales, gusting all around us, sing of something just beyond the storm. Rainbow weather's rolling in. I can smell it. I swear it. Rainbow weather's rolling in like dawn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John Curl. Thank you. Rainbow weather. Our next reader is Genny Lim, and it's a real honor to have her here with us today. Her recent book is Kra. The poems in Kra invoke history, myth, biography, political confrontations, and personal experience. She writes about fellow writers, musicians, and radical cultural activists, including Francisco X. Alacon, who was our friend, who also read at Watershed, who's passed, James Baldwin, Amiri Baraka, and more. Odes are dedicated to the people of Black Lives Matter, Standing Rock, and Flint, Michigan. Her previous collections are Paper Gods and Rebels, God of War, and Winter Place, among others. Her work appears in The Politics of Life, 4 plays by Asian American women, Unbroken Thread, Anthology of Plays by Asian American Women, Oxford Book of Women's Writings in the United States, and Island, Poetry in the History of Chinese Immigrants on Angel Island. Genny Lim received an American Book Award from the Before Columbus Foundation, among other awards, and since 2017, she's been the San Francisco Jazz Center Poet Laureate. And she gave a wonderful performance with jazz at last October's Watershed that you can find on Poetry Flash's YouTube channel. Please give a very warm vibe welcome to Genny Lim.
Well, thank you, Joyce. I've known you, I think, for over 30 years, maybe 35 years in association with Poetry Flash. We go way back, and I have to tell you how much I love you and persevering through thick and thin and pledging your support for the environment through Watershed. Thank you so much, and your slight little bear crew of volunteers to soldier on. Okay, I'll start with a quote from Edward Monk. It's called, the poem is The Scream. I felt a large scream pass through nature. How could Monk have known 135 years ago that soundless howl, that cry of anguish concealed in everyone and everything? Like some wild, wounded beast, captured in beeswax, paraffin, and gum pastels. The self-annihilation, the powerful and beautiful natural order of things receding into chaotic flight in recoiling terror. Only the crows and gulls seem to know their sinister cause and flapping of wings etched in things to come. How did we come to take this route if the screech of crows sound like the scream of someone being hung? The scream of nature is the sound of madness. A river at its breaking point, an earth-shattering roar, limitless and inhuman, sweeping everything away, fragmenting memory, dispatching death without justice or partiality. In the time it takes a pot of water to boil, the cry, the scream, the howl. This is the Heart Sutra. It's a Prajnaparamita Hridaya Sutram. Einstein decoded the sutras and tantras. E equals MC2. Energy and mass are of one thing and can change into each other. Outer space is inner space, and inner space is outer space. Form is emptiness, and emptiness form. Memories collapse, distance and time, like shadows cast from a moving train at the speed of light. There is no history without memory, and no memory without history to suffer the wounds of our losses in our flesh, in our hearts. History isn't big enough or long enough to carry our caskets of collateral despair. In the march of battle hymns and war drums beating from the armies of profit and illusion, Ramses, Barata, Genghis, Alexander, Caesar, Napoleon, Hitler, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, Ukraine, footprints in air, the smoke of empires burning, racing into extinction. E equals MC2. There is no birth, no death. The white lotus rises in the charnel ground of sorrow from the ashes of karma. We awaken in the resolute dawn to grieve, sing, love, suffer, and struggle, birth after death, death after birth. Form is no other than emptiness. Emptiness is no other than form. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi, swaha. Gone, gone to the other shore. Paragate, parasamgate, bodhi, swaha. Silky. 10,000 soldiers guard the capital after an insurrection and a raging pandemic as glaciers dissolve and Chinatown closes shop. We're lost like outtakes of a movie. What will happen to our generation? I escaped to the pier, away from pixelated images of dispossessed mobs combing the streets, bikers tipped on the rear wheels, thundering across the Bay Bridge, across traffic in broad daylight, cars spinning donuts, burning skid marks like postpartum stretch marks on the underbelly of night. Just behind Oracle Park, the open bay, I do my qigong with the harbor seals who leap and somersault in naked exultation. Their sleek coffee black torsos arch in midair, diving in and out of their subterranean realm. They bark, oblivious to the growls, drills, roar of bulldozers and jackhammers colonizing the land and air, performing their own sideshows behind the eroding pier. Electric scooters and bikes whiz down the jetty. Joggers race past, some with masks, some with not, looking straight ahead, unaware of the bobbing heads appearing and vanishing out of the corners of their eyes, like phantoms conjured from the magic hat of the sea. Suddenly, up pops in front of me a luminous mahogany head with marble eyes observing me. My heart races as I lean over the rail to get a closer look at this wondrous Silky. But she plunges behind the curtain and all trace of her disappears in a plume of spray. I feel her presence feral, primordial, a shadow pulling me into her void, a world unframed by pixels, undivided by borders, in eternal communion with all that is. I'm going to share a song that was composed by a Tibetan Lama from Ladakh. And it's a prayer to actually the four Buddhas, but I'm going to just sing the one part to the Amitabha, the Buddha of infinite light. It's called Ocean Prayer, and inviting everyone to be reborn in the pure land of Sukhavati by honoring the blessings and beauty of the ocean. Dewa chen gishin kamna gonpo padme pashuk Dakchat moon lam nam dakbe Dewa chen duti warsho Om Ame Devari Om Ami Devari. Ode to the Pacific. What will the whale say? Where will the dolphin play? What will the fish do with his extra fin and mouth? The ice shelf is melting and the water burns like fire. We beg the clouds' forgiveness for just one drop of water to quench our dying thirst. Big and small, this small blue earth balances on the wing of a hummingbird who sips a drop of nectar through the narrow arrow of his beak. He shoots into the air and slips through a pinhole in the sky at 1,000 heartbeats a minute. Under the brim of the sun, the blue whale dives in the depths through deafening sonar, electric nets, and digital harpoons that pierce her 100-foot-long body. She surfaces, blood spouting through her blowhole, not knowing she will be quartered and leached into ambergris at $100 a gram in colored bottles too small to fit even a hummingbird. Day watching gising kamna gonpo padme pashur o mani ipe mehun o mani pe mehun. Why does the cage bird sing? For Maya Angelou. If you're going to die this evening, what will you do in the time that remains? Mahmoud Darwish. Why does the cage bird sing? She sings when darkness falls, not waiting for tomorrow's call. Why does the caged bird sing? She sings because she does not wait for the sun to lift her from her fate, or some quick fix or court of law to save her from the lyncher's claw. This bird waits for no one. Her flight to freedom's never done. To be dragged by hatred's chain, hell no, that's not her game. She is not invisible. She is indivisible. Like the sun that rises on her black, brown, yellow, white sisters who stand proud and tall behind her. She knows that life is an unmade bed, ready for love any day, any weather. She knows that freedom rings with whatever joy you bring. And if you're going to die this evening, what will you do? And you do in the time that remains. That's why the caged bird sings. This is the butterfly's dream. Okay, and this will be my last one. The poet walked into the city of darkness, looked metaphor straight in the eye and saw nothing. The sky had shorn itself of light and left her soul along the cracks of drying rivers and lakes. The hollow wells remembered water, and the coffins spilled their skeletons, names into the Saraswati, Euphrates, Mekong, Yellow Arai. Forgotten rivers and lakes with no beginning or end. The rose, gardenia, dahlia, camellia, and amaryllis showered the clockwork dawn with their inflorescence, and the poet shouted into an ear of corn, but heard nothing. The sun had gone home for the day and was known to beg along the canals where politicians argued with forensic engineers over the cause of inflow. But we were only lovers. We had nothing to say. The words of singers, passers-by, and philosophers rattled in the grand marble of obituaries and keynote dinners of clanging forks and knives. Humid as summer, a history was arranged over a menu of smoked duck and foie gras, with nothing left to chance but chance itself. The poet commissioned the stars on dark matter to draft a memorandum of truth on the loss of innocence and all its personifications, to which the Pope replied, "Pardon the wounded sinner," as the choir fled through the revolving door of epochs, clinging to their prayer beads and shadows, leaving the pews to echo the psalms in the arms of the faithful. The scientists carved the names of things out of the tiniest atom to the largest galaxy on their tombstones. And the poets memorialized each other's ghosts. The dragon-tailed bamboo along the riverside was none other than the sage E.T., banished for making wine. And the Milky Way, a bridge of magpies, led the cowherd to his mate in the mirror of night. The dragon and tiger contrived a truce, and east became west, became east, and the carnivore became vegetarian in this journey to the west that left nothing to name but namelessness itself in the eternal book of changes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Genny Lim. Genny Lim, thank you. Thank you. That was wonderful. We're singing a song to the earth today, and I'm sure she's listening. Our next reader is Chris Olander, and his newest poetry book is Twilight Roses. His previous book is Riverlight. Kirk Lumpkin says, "What has always impressed me about Chris Olander's poetry is how present, how kinetically alive the energies of nature, birds, oaks, rivers, etc., are in it, and of how the words dance in the breath and sinew of it." Chris Olander has published in many anthologies and magazines. He's a founding director of Poets Playhouse in Nevada City, California, and of the Nevada City Poetry Series of Grass Valley. He served as Poet Laureate of Nevada County 2019 to 2021. Each year for many years, he has expertly led the Strawberry Creek Walk, part of the Watershed Environmental Poetry Festival, through the UC Berkeley campus. Please welcome Chris Olander. Chris, are you on? Can we hear you, Chris? Chris, can you unmute?
Yeah, I'm unmuted.
Fantastic. Okay, Chris Olander.
Okay, so the first poem I'm going to read is called Commuting. August, griddle strip, swelters the plastic metal cars backed up 5 miles. Fumes withering the landscape, fallout levels a playing field. Caltrans workers spray poison at off-ramp road rage murder scene. A rear view mirror tailgater mouthing his syllables wisdom at me. Out of sight, out of mind, man. I'm busy suffering my own pleasures. A metal monster driver shifts reality, jerks off in the lane right in front of me, brakes, but I'm out of there. Too fast for the rear end scammers, blowing trash, devil wind whirls up against chain link fencing. New toxic zone housing, dead cars, broken dreams, scattering plastic further. Try to escape up the country road, the domestications creeping over the hills, overgrazing sellout parcels, habitat loss, species extinctions, high grading what's left, gentry newages, too young to know the difference, stuck in scientific method, fear, anger, frustration hardens the nerves, coming, going, sensory overload. Don't look, too much population to carry home. Toss it into the freeway carnage. Who cares? The beautiful lives, the poet dancers, the girl, the boy you knew from school, The dead deer on the roadside bloating, apathetic. What drug relieves hating this world into its death, feeding the malignancy in our bodies, smothering lies with grief? Who issues checks for tears? At home, in the August white heat of my rock patio's live oak shades, the distant anger ripples over the pine ridge, the driving force. Pay the bills. Complete the commute contract. The metal air stifles the pines' curled tips, colors the distant beast roar bronze. What hope in evening's meltdown? Under the cicada live oak leaves, like a breeze through a California woman's hair, rising through the manzanita's palette, silvering leaves in the mountain mahogany, the toyons, bright green, tarnishing light, splintering the live oak's resilient flesh, moving among the branching sprays, fluttering wings, arpeggio trellises and adagio musings, and the evening angels massaging our senses between ripples of leaves. We are alive here in the garden's pleasure, what we create. The bush tits weaving angelic arias in the breath of the leaves is release, gleaning dis-ease from our senses in our communion of needs. And we rise, cut back the dead and dying branches, scatter seed for the quail and chicks, the towhee, the titmice, the dove, the hawk, pull a row of weeds, compost, water, pick onion, carrot, garlic, red pepper, eggplant, green beans, and the baby yellow crookneck, ripest Roma, rosemary, oregano, tamari, dashing olive oil stir fry at proper heat, basil or Parmesan sprinklings, ladle over the buttered buckwheat noodles, the bouquet's grace of flames from yellow, orange, red, and fuchsia zinnias. Spirits is your choice. What we love, we receive in our garden, in each other, renewing the gift, the body for tomorrow's work. Peace Rose. What am I doing here for the world's problems or my community? Each time I read the horrors in the newspapers at the library, I think of this. What can anyone do but piece our labors the best we can, best for the good of all others? At home, in the garden, the rural foothill sloped parcel watering its flowering brilliance, we nourish the earth's abilities to feed its creatures, the lizards, the insects, birds, rodents, bees buzzing the blooming roses. And I cut 2 peace roses. Already the petals are falling, sunlight blushing the pink centers of origin. How can I not acknowledge that? 2 roses, one a bit taller, but a match indeed, nestled in the dark green thorny lace, tucked in slim neck green glass space, 8 inches vertical ribs to bulbous bottom, metaphor, our lives. Tonight's centerpiece graces our family dining table. Round the horn heirloom mahogany, 2 long slender candles lit, peace roses, glow brilliance from the garden we create. Night passage. Half moons falling light wanes the literary illuminations across the oak landscape's desk. Leaves rippling over the fields, sprouting bouquets peddling the night jewels. Recollections, tranquil illusions. A difficult task at best. Late night, get it right, subconscious possibilities, sequential meanings, enlivening the senses, conjuring lines, structuring night's image. But the spell breakers open the door, murmurings of wild beasts moving far out. Well, what else? Step out into stars, celebrate their night's reveries, raw phrases igniting metaphors, stars searing eternity's womb, conceiving the zygotic peace, quivering, glowing membranes, white, red, blue, green, lavender flames, our brief campfires, pleasures, dazzling, our twinkling breaths, passing seasons reward us. And now these night birds as migrational intelligence, winging dark, dense cold, who knows where, and stars, sounding their syllables, scratch, inks, gravity, the dark regions, scriptures, sensing something familiar, smell, rippling, feeling sound, conceptual image, the illumined body breathing, navigating air's tone, flying, angels chirping their joys, arpeggios rippling her senses, lighting each word shadow, songs of beating wings, breathing through the night passage, as I too move with my loved one, lie beside her body, breathing the clean sheet chill glistening, our lakes, moonlight knowledge. She murmurs her sweet dream refrain, snuggles up warm animal curves, drifting us into sleep shades. Our flesh glows. Maxim. At the filling station, Paiute Casino, Bishop, California, I witnessed the Baldwin effect. Two Brewers Blackbirds, a pair, patrol the parked cars, filling up with fuel, inspecting each car's front end to flutter up and pick off insect carcasses splattered on the grills. Ah, Olander's maxim. First sign of intelligence, ability to adapt to the environment. To questers, leaving ancestral homelands, on the move, searching for the path to renewal's fertile soil, again plant seeds, enrich earth opportunities, raise strong, wise sons bearing fruit, and bright-eyed, sagacious daughters, new roots rooting deep minerals, stamina in the soil's sacred promise, rooted in their field's vital substance. When harvest feeds the family's love, generations brought forth celebrate inhabiting the land's fulfillment, a healthy body, mind discovering the garden's green-lit solitudes, communing each other's laughter. We will arrive home with what we now own, bodies, minds, and hearts, wrapped in each other's arms, blessing our great spirit's light. Live today, tomorrow's peace, germinate community knowledge, each and all understanding, voices singing the harmony, our children's intelligence, generations of bright stars, illuminating pathways into night, the silent bridge, our hearts beat, At last, we arrive home. Each day, our hands discover the blue emerald river heart, jewel that radiates the canyon's deepest image. The forest fountain, bubbling wilderness down the granite crags is building block foundation. Our soul's precious body, a sweet communion for our lips, speaking vast secrets. Fates sing of spirits unfurling leaves from the golden black oak, nurturing lupin nectar, rippling the spring rivulets, glowing with dawn fire. We dive into its clear pool, spirit laughing our river's current. River light in the mind, deep emerald pools the granite canyon. We reflect what is, passing through rock, sand grinds deeper. Each year of our lives, memories flowing out of sight. We look upstream to what is coming, entranced, green serpentine flow, conifer, oak, poison oak, mock orange, and black locust sweeten the body's electric movement. We watch water bubbling, rolling over cobbles between bedrock, splashing beauty clear, rhythm character, polishing gemstone, crystal cascade lace patterns between white bone, the gold of our lives. We climb naked, warm into tomorrow's beautiful canyon, where this woman gathers her movement true to her course before her in rapid churn, roars the river's green gold light, pooling her body's treasure, battered by the brute boulders' course to the ocean's generation. Spiraling cycles encircling this world body, she becomes more beautiful each day, widening my embrace to the essential element. And so it is, we enter the jewel pool pleasure, wetting imagination, embracing flesh in current light, sliding over bones, rippling between boulders into crux of power, coming together, frothing the cascades, roughly rush, salmon leaping upstream, coming, still quivering. Flush red, pools, last light, mirroring the bubbling cascades, cleansing desire, rippling downstream, the current swirls each day. This woman and I, swimming upstream, coursing the falls is wet, light miracle. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed that.
Thank you, Chris Olander. Thank you so much. Thank you. That was wonderful and yeah, deep. Thank you. Our next reader, Maya Khosla. I'm just so delighted that she could join us today. Maya Khosla's newest collection is All the Fires of Wind and Light. Lucille Langday said, Khosla presents climate change and endangered species with precise images and biological accuracy. Fire ecology, a widely misunderstood field, is a central theme. In this collection, there is anticipation of catastrophe, but there is also hope and also beautiful poetry. A wildlife biologist and filmmaker, Maya Khosla has spoken out with crucial information for all of us and her own observations about wildlife and forest restoration after wildfires. Her previous collections include Keelbone. Her work has appeared in the Chicago Quarterly Review, Canary, a literary journal of the environmental crisis, World Literature Today, and elsewhere. She was Sonoma County Poet Laureate from 2018 to 2020. To repeat myself, I am delighted to have her with us today. She's an amazing poet in this realm that we are exploring today. Let's give a warm vibe welcome to Maya Khosla.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, poets, for what amazing ways we have of, basically pulling together all these, just addressing the world in such urgent ways. Thank you, all of you. I'm going to start with a salmon poem, and it's about salmon that were lost to a river until the bones of their ancestors, the bones of other salmon, were taken upstream to the headwaters, calling the kings back up a river they lost. And there's a little note here from Tom J. Salmon can detect waterborne concentrations as small as 50 parts per billion. In martini equivalents, that's roughly 1 drop of vermouth in 500,000 barrels of gin. Calling the kings back up a river they lost. Then we carried crushed fish bones to the headwaters, tossed them in with ash. All the cautious optimism, all the longing from 64 missing years, tossed them in. Winter wrens making their way through the carvings of undercut, a great mass of rootwad. One of us worrying the timing would be off, the dilution factor of bone salts in water would come in under 50 parts per billion, but not saying it. One of us humming, the Willapa salmon might know to migrate the miles, the tender measure of dilution, to swim vertically up the falls, to run a curving line, determination despite the turbulence of tripled flows, bound for beds of gravel. Already rain and the smaller inflows stirring up a cloudy mud cover of safety, the garden of fallen branches going under. Riffles showing white seams, water breaking open, voices over gravel. Already the dark tea of leafy debris. All of it good, good enough to hide the passage of salmon. Their surge catalyzed into action by the blend of smells, ash and bone, oil of roe, joining the leaf rot and silt. The body a vessel, only heart and kidneys remaining, shoved to corners to make room. Loyalty, a new generation the fish would not see, holding them as one river, opposing the violent onrush of another. The body burning itself down, down to the essentials of racing. Nothing but the drive, dorsal bones showing through the thunder of tails hitting gravel, a reflex action driving off the silt. One fish sliding, blood red, past a sudden band of sun. The silvers of memory never weakening. Bent alders and willows, the interlacing fingers of shade dipping in as mitigating forces, as a way to join the silica, the nitrates and phosphates, the languaged, the crazed and pounding language of return. I have a poem about clear cuts for kilowatts. Just a quick explanation. These days, live trees and valuable wood that is like the stored carbon in forests is going to be transported. It is being transported to power plants for burning, for power. And there's a lot of people, colleagues and friends who are trying to put an end to that, because it's obviously not something we want to do. It's not very climate friendly to be burning up the trees and the wood, the valuable wood of the forests, just for power, for lights, for energy. So this one is called Against Clear Cuts for Kilowatts. By July 2020, the river was choked in slash piles. Into the trickle, the slow-breathing frog. Under a hoofprint, the juvenile trout. Paw marks darkened, big eye wide and still. Still as the bulldozer's shadow I stood, a compass bearing, a theodolite shot, a blueprint for more clear-cutting to come. Leaves of black oaks giving in the dappled light, without a notion of getting back. Under the roar of pines, the new within the old, a second life, a seventh. Some were hollowed out. I could count a fire every 5 decades, still they were tough. A fire every 3, and still they were tough. Easy as the body of a forest's breathing, greater than itself, full as rounded granite, nurturing its pools and its 4-footed tribes, the fisher, the fox, the ring-tailed cat, lion, thriving, a Nashville warbler's song of spinney and scrub, raising assemblages, the rooted, the winged, and the furred. A circle of sticks for a bed, down and fuzz, replaced by primary feathers, practice flapping in the dawn sun. A bit of gold here, a mammal there, fidgeting and jerking the grasses below. And in the meanderings, guided by snout, all followed the sense of the hour and the long refrain of the river that was. I'm going to read a couple of poems from All the Fires of Wind and Light, which is a book that's devoted to the ways of fire, mysterious ways of fire that are both the destroyer and the creator. And this is more the creative side. This is the side that goes into the forests and opens them up, rejuvenates them, wakes them up, resets them, like a reset button, a giant reset button. And this one is called Now You Can Set Down Your Fears. A sweep of brightness raises the mountaintops from sleep. As if on cue, a rush of breath answers the stuff of ages, the essentials, lands and gurgling waters awakened by silences rising once the flames have fallen. Now you can set down your fears. You can see the tribes arriving, sprig by sprig, the forests unwrapping layers of light, the old and the new, shoulder to shoulder, ambers, reds, and greens, following internal instructions, lily, lupin, conifer, marking time in concentric circles, working through their intricacies. Now the wild ones, with inner eyes drawing from the Pleistocene, arriving with the disposition of their ancients, and the order, mice, owls, foxes yipping, lines of pilgrims with a training, the shape and scent of paths mapped out. And now the mule deer, the lions. All along they knew to arrive, to shift and settle into place, in a vast machinery of rebirth, tasting the good light, anticipating the soot on their feet, the unknowns, listening for scratchy sounds, a trilling lacing the bite of air. Winks of light catch a tiny pool of dew held in a sword fern's hollow. All the looseness of soil, potash, charcoal, crumbly between the press of finger and thumb, is firming up in grip-shaped roots steadily descending into darkness. The air still, the breath of seedlings edging out of slumber. Close to the treetops, inches of relearning find their way out of the shadows. New worlds echo the shape of their burned predecessors. Faith alights on the sooty drapes covering trees. The birds cling, flash, announce the sap, the squirming meats, the great bounty. I have a poem about the insects. The first that they have smoke detecting sensors within them. That's what they say. And they come flying in right after fire because they know that there's some resources here they can grab. Smoke detecting beetles. In answer to drifts of ash, to genetic unity, a current soars up and west. Clouds of longhorns, yellow velvets, fur soyas, barely able to wait till the ashes cool, till the crackling lowers to a murmur of embers. Wings shimmer across the air thermals. 100 miles of ridgeline and vale, 100 more, the unheard music of migration. The fire-brushed lands call to them with refrains that took shape when the first trees were torched open by lightning millions of years ago. The refrains beckon, smoke drifts and haze by day, fission eyes of stellar matter arranged like a cambered map by night. And the beetles yield. Charged with hybrids of black and gold, their wings are blurred with a flight that is so much about turbulence and fury, about mind over wind, that it is less insects in flight than the hurrying of a black-veined river, less a wing-beaten composite of airborne probabilities than electric gale, less mass migration than an a cappella more ancient than decision. I'm going to close with a poem. Another poem is sort of related to fire and sort of related to deforestation, but I'm hoping it's ultimately related to hope. It's called Mountain Quail. On the far side of absence, a clean drop, a mist-driven dawn. One quail, foraging where there've always been two. A lean season, air spiced with the chopped and fallen bark of fir and cedar. Her chest is afire with agitation. I too straighten my neck for the encounter. In the pause, she scratches the dirt, the maw left by bulldozers, and pecks. Persistence is the strongest of fruits. Even the whole, halved, seeks to function as whole. Even after their hold lies loosened, roots dangling askew, leaves continue their drive through the murk, drawing from fists entrenched in clay. The quail is surrounded by a swirling, a white-outed cliff below. Generations of wisdom have equipped her to perceive my prolonged attention as a threat. The moment flees. I cannot help bushwhacking towards the drop, leaning over the sheer face of absence, pulling sticks and leaves from my hair. Far below, she is clinging to the edge of life, the way we all do. The scratches stinging my face and arms, too, will all but vanish. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maya Khosla. Thank you so very much for that beautiful poetry, for our beautiful planet. And what a pleasure. Thanks to all of you powerful poets, John Curl, Genny Lim, Chris Olander, and Maya Khosla. Please check out the links in the chat box to purchase their books from asiabookcenter.com and bookshop.org/shop/poetryflash. That way you'll be supporting independent book selling. Thanks to Rosalinda Monroy for her diligent tech support. Thank you. And to Kim McMillan for her consultation and help on this and support on this reading. And to our amazing co-sponsors, the Berkeley Historical Society and Museum, and to California I Can. Please visit the current in-person exhibition, Echo Berkeley, A Legacy of Environmental Activism, through mid-April at the Veterans Memorial Building in Berkeley. See berkhistory.org for details. Go to poetryflash.org and sign up for the mailing list to get notices about future events. Check the website for both online and in-person readings. And thanks so much for joining us today. Thank you.